Does Cobra Kai Season 5 show mercy? Or is it still kicking in all the right directions? Hey everyone, welcome to the Fortress of Solitude podcast. I'm your host, Sergio Pereira, and I'm joined by my fellow sensei, Jared Saunders. Jared, how are you, son?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing really, really good. I'm super excited actually to discuss this. I mean, both of us are huge Cobra Kai fans. I mean, even Karate Kid fans. I mean, we are old enough to... Well, okay, look, we didn't watch them when they originally came out. We watched them a little bit later.
I watched them when they originally came out.
Okay, but like, yeah, we are like a little bit like, we're a little bit older in the sense that we grew up with it. We remember like the whole story of Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence. So naturally, when Cobra Kai first came out, we were super excited about it to revisit it. And man, like I must say, the series has like, it's really surprised me how it's managed to do all the right things in the sense that, you know, I never thought that they would be able to actually like, you know, carry on telling the story and introduce a new generation, because you always kind of get a little bit scared, you know, like, oh, introducing a new generation of characters, the passing of the mantle, and you always think it takes away from the original characters. But they've got like, they've got the perfect blend in the series. They really do.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a bit of 80s, 90s cheese with it, but it works. It works really well. It's like a I think it's part of the nostalgia, the whole cheesy story thing, and I think it works really well. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, look, now we are in season 5 of the show, and I'll be honest with you, I'm super surprised it's gotten this far. I mean, the series first started out on YouTube as a YouTube original series for season 1 and 2, and then it got cancelled. Then Netflix picked it up, and it went to Netflix. But, you know, we always know with Netflix shows as well, there's always a chance that they get cancelled quite soon. So the fact that season 5 is here, it's a pretty big deal. It means that, you know, they've invested some money in it, they still have faith in it, people are still showing up. But more importantly, you know, you always kind of wonder, like, by season 5 of the show, like, you know, what are the legs like on the show? Is the show still entertaining and exciting enough? And I was actually like, you know, going back over season 4's events, I was even looking at my old review of season 4. And I remember that I said it was like, it felt like new emotional stakes had been like reinvigorated, because it obviously brought back all the stuff from Karate Kid Part 3 and injected into it. And I thought like Terry Silver specifically as a character was like super exciting. And now season 5, you know, it kind of continues again. And I want to get your impression. Do you think season 5 was like, it carried on being as strong as what the previous seasons were? Or did you feel that there was a little bit of a drop? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think for me personally, the beginning, the first few episodes, it felt like there was a drop. Like it took me a while to get back into it. Like as much as I liked seeing the characters again and all of this, it felt like they were still dealing with stuff that happened in the previous season. So they had to finish up that story first before they could move on to the new stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, it felt like there was a drop. But then when it hits like maybe like halfway through this season, it just takes off and it just keeps going and it gets really exciting. Like until the end, and you're like, wow, that was fantastic. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you hit a very good point there. Like, there were certain things, like at the end of season 4, you know, obviously Kreese going to jail and Miguel going to go try to find his dad in Mexico.
Yeah,
like there were like some topics, and I was quite surprised. Obviously, the Kreese being in jail thing, you know, that's like throughout the whole of season 5. Okay, we're not going to get into too many spoilers here, but that's like, you know, it's still like a huge point in season 5, which naturally you would expect as a viewer. Like the Miguel thing with his father, that ended very quickly. Like that for me was also quite surprised. I thought like, okay, they're going to go to Mexico and Johnny and Robby are going to be like a part of that.
Yeah, the way the trailer set it up, it looked like that was like what the whole season was going to be about, right? Like
for them, yeah.
Like that whole thing was like, what do you call this? When they go on like a road trip thing.
Road trip, yeah.
It looked like a whole road trip story, but it doesn't end up that way. That's like literally like maybe 2 or 3 episodes. And then,
that was quite surprising.
It takes the completely different direction.
No, it does. And I mean, look, Yeah, go ahead.
I think what happened was they wrote themselves into a corner at the end of season 4, so they had to finish up those stories and then start off with what they actually wanted to do with season 5.
Yeah, I just thought that like Miguel's story was. It felt like it was going to be something more pivotal. Yeah, like I did think it was going to be more pivotal, and it really did. It kind of went nowhere. It was kind of like. It was a little bit anticlimactic, and I think once he came back to back home, it was his arc got a lot more interesting. He was an interesting character again, because that was the one thing about season 4 that I found was a bit lacking. It was like it focused on everyone else, and Miguel's arc sort of felt a little bit disjointed in places. Like I kind of felt like he doesn't really want to be involved in karate. He kind of felt in the periphery of things. And I thought that here he was brought back in again because he's one of my favorite characters in the show.
Yeah.
Like, since season 1,
for me, it's probably my favorite character. And the thing about Cobra Kai is that there's so many characters that they don't have the space to give everyone an arc every season. So there are people who get skipped even in this season. Like they just brush over them and you get a little bit here and there. But there's nothing really big that happens, but the focus moves back onto Miguel in this one, and and it's nice to see how those things sort of work out.
No, definitely. And what I thought was quite interesting about the season as well, like it kind of shifted the focus away from the kids a little bit. It kind of focused on the adults because this was pretty much like Daniel dealing with the fallout of everything that happened in the Karate Kid Part 3 and everything that Terry Silver did to him. And him having to deal with it. And a lot of characters from Karate Kid Part 3 are back. I mean, I'm not going to go into too many spoilers. I mean, the trailer's already given away one of them. But it was quite interesting to see that sort of dynamic of okay, he still hasn't dealt with this. Everything that, Silver did in the past and his manipulation and his manipulation of people as well. And I thought that they handled that really well because it really made him a huge villain. And I must say, for me, he is a bigger villain than John Kreese. Kreese is we know what he's like, but Kreese, you know what to expect from him.
And you also you kind of have some kind of sympathy for Kreese. You kind of like him a little.
Yeah.
Whereas Terry Silver, you don't have that sort of feeling towards him. He's an all-out bad guy. He's manipulative and all of that.
He's literally a snake. He's the Cobra Kai symbol. He's a snake, and you can't trust him. And he's excellent in the role. It's just Thomas Ian Griffith as Terry Silver. He just brings the same menace to the character that he did all those years back. And for me, he still is a standout of season 5. For me, everything that he did was just it grabbed you, and you were like, what is this guy up to? You're trying to figure out because like I've said before, Cobra Kai as well. What they tend to do is they write it in such a way that everyone believes what they're feeling is right. So, for example, Terry Silver believes his motives are right, just as Daniel believes his motives are right. Everybody's and if you listen to them describing what they want, you can kind of understand where each character is coming from. Yeah. Sure, I mean, the methods are a little bit questionable sometimes, but you kind of understand that these people are they all believe in something, and they're all going ahead with it and saying, I believe in this. And I thought
they all believe in karate. They all believe in karate. That's it.
But I must say one thing that I did enjoy, and because I've been laughing about it for the last couple seasons. It's Amanda LaRusso. She's always been the character that's I find she's the audience's eyes, in a sense, the one who actually says the truth. And she's you know what is all this karate drama? This is dumb. This is stupid. She's always had that sort of appeal. And I've always loved that about her character because she's always saying it's always the truth. You kind of wonder yourself this lady's right.
The whole thing, there's 5 seasons of this now, and all of it is about karate dojos fighting each other in this big city, and it kind of doesn't make sense, right? When you think about it, but it's fun to watch, and I think that's what her arc is in this whole thing. Also, she's what the heck is going on here? This doesn't make any sense. And then in the end, she's sort of she kind of accepts. This is what this is. It's okay.
But I I also find that like in this season, the stakes were a little bit higher. It wasn't just about, karate drama. Because at first you thought, oh, Terry Silver and Daniel, this is just, the rubbish that they've been going through. Like it's the same thing he went through with Kreese and Johnny. And she thinks is that. Then suddenly she realizes like everything that Terry put her husband through has actually impacted him, and there's a lot more trauma behind it. And then she starts finding out about how, Terry broke up the relationship between Miyagi and Daniel like all those years back, and it took a while, and, kind of was turning him into a person he didn't want to be. So I thought that was done quite well, because it actually showed you like, oh, okay, I get it. This is actually more than karate. This is more than just a petty, 30-year fight that 30-year feud you've had with someone. Whereas like with the stuff with Johnny, you can kind of understand he can fix it. And even, his issues with Chozen before, you can get those sort of things. But like this one actually had some real stakes in it, because it was like, Terry did actually try to ruin Daniel's life. It wasn't just a case of like, okay, I'm upset that you won a karate tournament and, we're going to beat you up in a parking lot. It wasn't that. It was like, I'm going to destroy every aspect of your life, every relationship that you have. And I thought that was what was done. It just felt like it had higher stakes here.
Yeah. Also, there's more people involved, so I can see where you're going with that. Yeah, it feels bigger. It feels a lot bigger than his beef with Kreese.
No, definitely, and I think that's what makes it quite interesting. The one thing I found was quite it was quite risky as a move, and I don't want to like go obviously into spoilers, but everyone has noticed how every single season of Cobra Kai like leaves for the next season. Like, there's always like they leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger, or they're like, oh, there's something coming in the future, there's something that's going to happen, so kind of keeping you hooked for the next season. I found with season 5, like especially towards the end, because okay, look, this is a tad a bit of a spoiler, but there is another karate tournament coming.
Yes, there is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But it's like everyone, you can kind of expect it, but there is a tournament. I'm not going to say what it is or where it is or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, like, when they announced this tournament, I was like, okay, cool. I was like, this is going to be the final episode. Like we've seen in previous seasons, there's always like a big karate tournament. And they didn't. They left that hanging. So that karate tournament is going to be for season 6, which could make the whole of season 6 about that tournament. But I thought it was quite risky, because I kind of thought, okay, well, this is going to be the finale, but they didn't. They're like, no, this is going to be season 6, if it obviously gets greenlit. I'm not entirely sure, actually, if it has been greenlit or not. But I thought that was quite risky, because
how many seasons are they doing?
I know that they said they had ideas for a couple of seasons, but like there is endpoints. Like the writers and the producers, as far as I understand, they do see an endpoint to the show.
So I think the end point will either be the next season or the season after that, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It's only so much they can continue with it.
I read it somewhere like a while back, but I don't want to be like, spreading, false facts here. Like, they did say that there is an end point they have in mind of where it can end. Like they said, obviously this is a story that can carry on. It's pretty easy to carry it on, but they did have an end point,
especially with the cast being so young. They could just continue.
But I'm keen to see where it goes. Look, like I said, I do think season 6 would probably be a good point to probably end it. Like I do think that, look, I enjoyed season 5, and I mean I watched all the episodes in like in the space of like a day or so. So I binged it as well. Like as soon as I got it,
the entire thing straight.
I know.
I just watched all of it in less than 24 hours.
And you're like messaging me, telling me you're going to give me spoilers. I remember that.
Yeah.
So I really did enjoy
There's
it.
a lot of big twists. So watch out for spoilers. Watch out for spoilers. And there's a few surprises.
What I do think, though, is that it is still going quite strong. Like this is the surprising thing. Season 5 is still going very, very strong compared to a lot of other shows where you would notice like a drastic dip in quality, a drastic dip in what's going on. And I'm just worried, like if you carry on pushing it too long, it just becomes like CSI season 22, sort of thing. You're like you don't need it anymore. It's like okay, we've told the story.
What's interesting is that they sort of take the karate thing to different places. Like at one point they were at the school, and the whole karate thing was about school, and then the karate thing was about dojos, and then it was about in Japan, and so they take it to different places. Like it's more suburbs sort of thing now. So there's other anime like you're saying. There's more places that they can go with this, and I think that's the idea is that they're setting it in different places to show like how big this karate thing can get.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the formula.
No, it definitely has got like you can see like they try different things, and each season has got like a specific little focus, sort of aspect to it. But yeah, like I mean, the cast has kind of grown. Like the thing is, I think season 5 they did quite well in terms of not trying to add more characters. Like for example, in season 4 we saw the introduction of Kenny, and obviously Daniel's son Anthony came back as well, and they play a part in season 5. And I remember we discussed this like with season 4 a while back, and how you did not like the arc at all, like between Kenny and Anthony.
I still don't like Kenny. I still don't like him. I'm like, he was the most annoying character in this season. I was like, what's wrong with this kid? Like,
I must admit,
but I suppose that's part of the drama is like having a kid like this, like that's supposed to annoy me or something. I don't know.
Look, I understand the aspect of obviously he was a character that was bullied, and now he's fighting back against his bullies, and Anthony
now he's a bully.
Now he's a bully, but I don't know. Just Kenny's transformation is just like obviously they want to play on the whole thing that Cobra Kai brainwashes you, and I get that. It makes sense. But for example, like when there were moments with Robby. Like when Robby was part of Cobra Kai, or even Miguel, you saw there were parts of the mechanic came through like, this doesn't sound right. Like they could kind of see certain things they weren't comfortable with. I mean, you can see it with the likes of Tori, you can see it with the likes of Hawk, you can see it with everyone. Like all those kids kind of had a bit of a conscience and could kind of like look at it and say, okay, I don't necessarily agree with this, but like, they kind of stick with it, which, makes sense because from a humanity point of view, I don't believe anybody's just like, one way or the other. You can kind of see certain things like, okay, that doesn't make me comfortable or whatever, like regardless of where, you align yourself with. And I found that was very genuine with him. Like Kenny's character feels like the Terminator. It's like a switch that they just put on and it's like, good and it's bad. And that's it. Like this kid, like, people like confront him with like genuine facts, like genuine things like, hey man, and this kid is like, the way he behaves and the way his expressions are towards him, like, no, Cobra Kai for life sort of thing. It's like, dude, come on, like this isn't believable. Like the character just doesn't feel like very believable at some point. And like the whole thing like with Anthony as well, like, and I mean, this is something which I think, a lot of us can kind of relate to, like, especially when we were like in high school and, in primary school and stuff like that as kids, like whenever there were like issues and stuff with kids, like at some point, sometimes like somebody would actually say, hey, listen, man, I'm sorry for what I did. And, and it extend out a hand and, you get over it and you carry on, like with life. Like that's what it is. Just like how Kenny refuses to accept like any sort of like apology or whatever. He's like, it's just like his Terminator, like, no, I'm going to beat you up every day. It just does not feel authentic because like the kid is basically like, look, I'm done. Whatever I've done to you is like, I apologize for it and I was wrong. And the person's like humble themselves. And how much more can you carry on doing that? Like, I guess Kenny's like a psychopath.
Yeah, especially since Kenny knows what it feels like. He should have some kind of sympathy, about it. It doesn't seem realistic that he's so angry about it still. Like, this doesn't make sense.
What surprised me as well as season 5 is like, we found out who Kenny's brother was obviously in season 4.
Yeah.
He doesn't really play much of a part in season 5 at all. If I'm not mistaken, he doesn't appear at all.
No. But what I found with season 5, also a lot of the characters were very angry about something, right? Like even Daniel LaRusso is angry, his daughter is angry, Kenny's angry. There's like a lot of angry characters, and it's almost like out of place for who they usually are. Like Daniel LaRusso being so angry, that's not his natural personality. So it was a very strange one, especially when. Johnny felt more like LaRusso this time around. It was a very strange switch up there that they did.
I think that was the intention though, because obviously Terry Silver is manipulating things behind the scenes, and if you think about it, Johnny kind of when they lost the tournament All Valley in season 4, he kind of stepped away and he just carried on focusing on his life. He kind of like, well, you know what, it's done. You know what, I'm just going to carry on with my life. Daniel's the one who got sucked back into everything, and I was like, oh no, I need to stop this guy. Like, no one knows what he's capable of, what he's going to do to these kids, and he got all wound up. Samantha as well, like, as his daughter, she couldn't believe she lost to Tori, and she was like so disappointed by it, and then the whole thing with Miguel disappearing and stuff. But yeah, I think the whole anger thing was a good sort of analogy of like what was happening. That Terry Silver was sort of influencing everyone in a way, as part of like a master plan. Well, let's create dissension in everyone's ranks here and make sure that everyone like dislikes one another, and then we can create like this sort of like war between each character. But yeah, you're 100% spot on. I mean, I found the actual maturity and the growth of Johnny as a character in season 5 was fantastic.
Yeah, Johnny was the stuff for me for this season. Like,
Johnny was great.
I loved every time Johnny came on screen, I was like, it was such a cool story to tell, like how he's trying to be a better person or be a good person. And I really dug that.
No, definitely. And I think it was great because, we've kind of focused so much on like Johnny as being, a screw up in previous seasons and, somebody who doesn't do the right thing when he gets a chance and whatever. And here's Johnny actually like, you know what? I'm going to focus on things like even his relationship with Robby. Like, I thought to myself, oh, please, for the love of God, do not make this again like Robby and Johnny having another fallout over like some misunderstanding or whatever. And there were moments they teased it, in the season. And they didn't. And it's like, you know what? Johnny's actually like done so well, like in terms of like what he's trying to do as like, as a father, as a as a sensei, as a friend, and all those sort of elements. And you can kind of see that like his character just gets like a lot more sort of like responsibility, and you realize, you know what, he needs to also better himself and do the right thing. And like his growth was outstanding. And I think that this is like the redemption story of Johnny Lawrence, after everything that he went through. And it kind of shows that, people can still, do good things. Like, he was the, antagonist of the Karate Kid part 1, but, it's kind of shown that, look, at the end of the day, it was a stupid karate tournament between teenagers back in the day, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the same person when you're like 50 years old. So Johnny's arc was really decent.
Yeah, I wish this was a spoiler. Like if we could mention, because there's some interesting bits about Johnny and Kreese also that I thought was very cool.
Yeah, I mean,
we probably can't go into too much detail, but I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we've seen that Kreese and Johnny have had a very interesting sort of relationship throughout the years, and there definitely is like some more exploration here of. Yeah. I would actually say more of how Kreese feels towards Johnny versus Johnny feels towards him, which is kind of interesting. So it's a good one. But yeah, like I must say, I really thoroughly enjoyed season 5. I thought it was really well done. I thought it carries on the same tone. Like I kind of find with the show, it's one of those shows that you can put on season 1, let all the episodes play, and it never feels like it's jumping the mark. Like it feels like it's disjointed or whatever. It's carried the same tone.
It never feels heavy either. Like you don't feel like you feel like you could just watch all of it at one shot. It's never too heavy or too much to take on at once, which I like.
And I think what's really good is like every episode is just over 30 minutes. Like it's just over 30 minutes. I found the season episodes were a little bit longer, like 37 minutes, 30, 35, 36. And obviously the episode 10 was I think about 45 or something, which was a little bit longer. But at that sort of pace, like it's a quick, easy half-hour watch. Obviously there's credits that go on for about 2 minutes or so. So, keep that in mind. But it's 30 minutes. So it's like 30 minutes and it works because it's like bite-sized sort of like episodes and they're not dragging things on. There's not all those like little... these conversations that are just taking place, just to, buff up the running time of it. It's like, it's actually just everything is what you need to know. And it goes quickly, 10 episodes. Yeah. And I think this formula works. It's like, it's a really good formula for TV as well. And to be honest with you,
it's great that you can binge it all. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this should be the way forward for a lot of series. Like, I mean, I'm finding nowadays, this isn't a complaint about the series at all because like I actually am enjoying the series, but like you look at House of the Dragon or even the Rings of Power, every episode is like an hour long, like it's like an hour long as episodes, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's cool, but I'm saying is like if every single show goes that way, it's a lot of investment in terms of like, I've got an hour and a bit, some of them are like 70 minutes long per week that I got to invest in a certain show. And, so many shows doing that, competing for that, it's a lot, actually.
I don't have a problem with that. The problem I have is with Marvel's TV show setup. Like, they have 30 minutes every week, so I have to wait a whole week to get another 30 minutes, and then nothing happens in that 30 minutes. It drives me nuts.
Okay, you're the opposite of me there. You're the opposite of me there. Like, for me, it's easier, watching.
I hate that.
For me, it's easier. Like, to be honest, like, like with She-Hulk.
Yeah, but
it's one of those things. For me, I don't have to.
I don't like.
Yeah, look, I'm enjoying it. Like, I find it's very lighthearted. I find that the story is not. It's not like this one continuous story like with a lot of stuff, but it's like it's also one of those shows where I don't need to watch it when it comes out on Thursday. So, for example, I can watch it on the Saturday or the Sunday or whatever. I got 30 minutes to watch it. It feels like a sitcom, and it says like, oh, cool, let me watch my new episode of it. I don't. Maybe it's also right in the sense I don't have a huge emotional investment towards it, like I would with Cobra Kai, where I want to binge everything in one.
But that's my point, is that you get to watch all of this in one go, which works great, versus waiting a whole week just to see a little bit. I find annoying.
I just find the formats, like, the 30 minutes to be much more digestible versus the hour-long programs all the time. Like, it's getting a little bit too much, to be honest. Like, the other day I was like looking at some brand new Netflix show as well. Like, everything is like an hour long. And I'm like thinking, whoa, that's a lot of investment. That is like 10 hours straight. Like, or even longer, actually, like probably about 12 hours, because it goes over an hour long, that I have to invest in the show, to watch it until something else or whatever comes on.
Yeah.
I get it, it's entertainment.
Much bigger than that, yeah.
But it's like, if I'm spending 70 minutes on something, I'd rather spend an extra like 20, 30 minutes and watch a movie. That's the way it is. Like, generally, like the reason why people tend to gravitate towards TV shows is it's serialized storytelling. So it's every week you come back, but it's also the case of like, okay, it's something I can watch in the evening before I go to bed. I can watch my 2 shows before I go to bed. This is like you're watching a movie before you go to bed. So that's the thing. Yeah. And I find Cobra Kai is just like, it's the right format. So
it's the right format. Yeah, it's the perfect format. I agree.
Cool. So, in closing, Jared, where would you rank this in terms of all the seasons so far? How would you rank the season?
Oh my goodness, I never thought about that. The first one was the best one, I still think, because it was new, I suppose. I enjoyed last season more than this one. Not to say that this one was bad either. Maybe about the same as the last season. Maybe a little lower than the last season. I don't know where that is on my scale of 5. but so far, I mean, for me, Cobra Kai has just been going from strength to strength. So, yeah, I've been happy with the series so far. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I would also kind of have to lean towards that. I think I found every season to improve on the previous one. I think you're right. Season 4 I thought was excellent. I thought the way that it did things. I thought season 5 was really good as well. I'd probably put it on par with season 4 as well. Like, for me, it was like,
somewhere there.
I think, look, it is quite high up there. Like, I know a lot of people tended to say, oh, it's running out of steam in season 4, but I know what that's about. It's like people get bored, with series.
What season was it where they fought at the school and Miguel broke his back? That was my favorite, I think. The stakes were really high in that.
Was that season 2, season 3? Season 2, season 3. I can't actually remember.
I think it was season 2.
3, yeah.
I think it's season 2.
That was a great one. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was good.
That was fantastic as well.
That climax in that was just insane.
Yeah, it was a crazy climax. Yeah. I remember that. That was like, none of us saw it coming. We're like, whoa, that was still like, I think, one of the best endings to Cobra Kai, because you wanted to know what's happening next. Everyone wanted to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say this is also goes from strength to strength. I don't think the ending is as strong as the other ones, like in terms of like what happens at the end. Like, yeah, we know that there's another karate tournament on the horizon, but there's nothing really. But
there was a surprise at the end, though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but
I called it. I called it from the beginning of that episode.
I was fooled. They got me.
No.
I was like, no.
There's a trick, Jared, in TV. If something happens to somebody, like in the first opening minutes, it means like it's not real. It's not going to happen. So like I kind of knew like no. Something's still happening here. I was like no.
They got me. They
got you. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Once again, Jared, thanks for joining me. It's been fun chatting about Cobra Kai. Hopefully, we'll be chatting about Cobra Kai season 6 very soon. I'm hoping so. Like probably in the next year or so. To everyone else out there, thanks again for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, drop us a comment. Tell us, what did you think of Cobra Kai Season 5 when eventually you do watch it? And what have you thought of the other seasons beforehand? Until next time, take it easy and take care.